And so I just opened up and he grabbed my hand and we started going through the spirals of my DNA. And I was, looking at everything. And as we would go through a strand, I could feel it like stroke over my skin. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's just amazing. And we're going, and it's super fast. We're going really, really fast. And we get down to this one spot and he just stops, like, hitting a wall. And he says, do you see me? And I'm like, well, yeah, you're everywhere. Of course I see you. And he's like, no. And he points to this spot in my DNA. And he's like, right there. Do you see me? And I looked and I did. And it was in that part of our DNA that they call junk DNA, that we don't know what that DNA does. And it was funny because it hadn't actually been that long ago that I had read about junk DNA, and he was right there. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're in me? And he's like, yes, I'm your father, just like your father is your father. You can say he's not, but we could do testing and figure out that he is. He's your biological father, whether you want to admit it or not. And I'm your father, whether people want to admit it or not. And it just blew me away. And so I knew at that point that if we went past that, then I was staying. And I'm like, all right, I'm in, let's stay, And I felt like so loved and accepted, like I didn't have to do another thing. A lot of us have this idea that you've got to constantly be doing for God to be loved. You have to be doing something that measures up. And it wasn't like that. He loved me because he made me, and he adored me and he thought me up. And I remember thinking, how long did he think of me? Because I thought of my children before I had them. And when I first got pregnant, what would they be like? And what would their lives be like? And I thought it can't be much different for God. He's knitting you together and he's got to be, kind of seeing you live out your life. And I thought, how long did he think of me before he decided to make me? And he made me on purpose. He could have made somebody else, but I'm on purpose for a purpose. And I'd never really gotten that. And I looked back at my life and I thought, you've wasted it. Yes, you're a nurse and you're raising good kids and all this stuff, but you've not fulfilled your purpose. And if you check out now, it's like cheating. You just quit. You're just a quitter. And I didn't want to be a quitter, and I felt like I had not embraced everything that I am by being a creation of God, by building that wall around me.